Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're new to the immigration process, I would highly recommend that you do not start with this video, that you go back to my previous videos and start from the beginning, or you might just be confused. So in our previous video, I talked about the application for the green card or adjustment of status and going for the biometrics appointment. In this video, I'm going to talk about the little wait time between the green card interview and the green card interview and getting your green card. So I'm going to start off where I left in the last video, and that was going for my biometrics appointment and just waiting again. So I went for my biometrics appointment on July 25th. That was about a month and a half after the initial application for my EAD and the adjustment of status. I never received the EAD because I think my notice for my green card interview came so quickly that they sort of just ignored that, because your green card do allow you to work on it as well. So there's no need really then for that EAD, which is just there for the time that you might be waiting to get your interview, because that time might be 6 months to over a year. So I received a notice probably a month after I went for my biometrics appointment. I'm not sure, I don't have that notice anymore because I had to send it with the stuff I had to send. So this notice just said that we have to submit tax returns still. I don't really know why, because we did submit the exact same things with the actual application. But anyways, we ended up reprinting Mike's tax returns and sending it like the next day with priority mail to make sure that we're not the reason that the process is being hold any longer than what it should be. And then it didn't feel very long at all, probably 3 weeks, maybe in the 4th week, not even a month. And I received my notice that my interview will be in November. So my notice came about a month and a week or so before the actual interview, so you do have enough time to prepare. I was really surprised when it did come, because I thought I'll probably have to wait longer or a few months, because I thought that my work authorization card will come first so that I can actually start before I have to go for my green card. But like I said, it just never showed up. So they send you this form with your date and where it is. So my green card interview was at the same place where my biometrics appointment was, so I knew where it was and I kind of knew the building, so I didn't stress about going there again. If you've moved in the meantime, it might be a different place, but I'm pretty sure it will just be the same place if you haven't moved. So this list, like I said, says where, what time, what day, and then it says everything you need to bring. I do not have the list anymore because it's one of the things you actually have to give them at your appointment. So this list has, it looks like a lot of things when you first get it, but it's actually everything that you should already have in your drawer. If you've made copies of everything else that you've sent in, or have saved copies on your computer, like me, just keeping all the forms, not throwing anything away since the beginning of the process, you should have things in your drawers that you can just put into this file. The only thing extra that is new things that they expect you to give is actually proof of your marriage. So things like tax returns, if you've been married long enough. I mean, Mike and I have only been married for 4 months at that point. So I knew they won't expect being on a house lease. We're in an apartment building and we've been living here even before we got married. So I was a resident here but not on lease here, and I don't have a social security number, and usually they want you to have that social security number to put you on the lease. But we did have things like healthcare together, a credit card together, and my main bank has his name on it too. So things like that, and then photos of the wedding and the honeymoon. I made sure to go through that whole page and sort of circle what I do need, because there's some things that isn't applicable to me, like children certificates or whatever, but it was very few things that wasn't applicable. So I circled everything, and then as I went through it, I looked in my drawer, what do I have, what do I not have, and I make check marks on that paper. I didn't care to write on that paper, even though I had to give it back. I mean, you should probably make a copy and use that copy to check off. I just didn't, because I felt like I was wasting so much paper making so many copies of things. So this is basically my file that I took. I made a whole new file and everything. So my index is right at the front. Every time I've been to an interview with a folder like this and a lot of things, I've made sure to include an index. It just makes it easier for you to know exactly what you have. If they ask for something, you can just look on here and then open up where it is. I'm first gonna run through all of this that I actually took, and then I'm gonna run through the interview process and what they actually looked at there. So I had that interview request that they have the little checklist, and they want proof of identification, which is your passport, or if you have a license already, but mainly it's the passport. But I also made a copy of the passport just for in case. So I had the initial interview request and a copy of a passport in one little sleeve, and they took the initial interview request. They didn't take the copy of the passport. Number 2 that I had in this file was my DS-325, which was the vaccination documents. So I did, with my initial application, I did send in the vaccination document, but I didn't send in the sealed envelope with the x-rays because they didn't ask for it. But on this form it says if you have that sealed envelope, you should bring it. So that's what I had for the vaccination docs, and a copy of the original one that I did end up sending in. Then one point that I had was they just said anything that might point out that you're eligible to have this green card, or this type of green card. This I was kind of unsure of, and I was like, okay, what should I take? Because basically my marriage certificate says I'm eligible, and my passport, I guess. I wasn't sure about this one. So what I did is I put every single notice that they've ever said saying this has been approved, and you've went for your biometrics, and you've got your K1 visa, those little notice of actions. I think it's 7-9 C's. Yeah, anything kind of that looked like this, these type of papers, I just put in a folder. And I was like, okay, I have it here with me if anything seems unclear to them. And I also had an extra police clearance that I've just had, because I thought originally that I might have to give a United States police clearance because I was living here for a year. I talk about it in one of my previous videos. I didn't end up ever having to give this police clearance, so I just put it in this folder for in case they say, well, do you have a police record that prevents you from being in the country or something like that. So I added this here. In the fourth folder, I had a copy of my K1 visa, because they asked for any immigration relevant documents. And the only immigration relevant stuff for me has been my K1 visa. So I made a copy of it, added that in. Number 5 was any travels to the United States and proof of entries stuff. I can't exactly remember the wording, but I added a copy of my J1 visa, my original visa that I came over on my au pair year, the DS 2019 that proved that I was allowed to work on the J1 visa. I put a copy in of my B2 visa, that was just my visitor's visa, and then I put a copy in of my I-94 record. That is just a page that you can get online that says exactly when you've arrived in the dates. Every single date that you've ever arrived into the United States is on that document. It's pretty easy to get on the internet. I will definitely add the link to get your I-94 into this video. In number 6, I had birth certificates. My birth certificate, they wanted your birth certificate and your sponsor's birth certificate. And my sponsor was Mike, so it was Mike's birth certificates. In the 7th folder, I had the marriage certificate and also another copy of his birth certificate, because it says the marriage certificate and the spouse's birth certificate. So this is the only thing that I actually had to go out and go get, the marriage certificate, because they want a certified copy from the right authorities. And I was just like, well, I'm just gonna go to the city hall because it's like right up the street, and it's like $15 to just get another marriage certificate, like a real one. So I was just like, I'm just gonna go get another marriage certificate, and it was printed that day. I walked in, I gave the money, I had the marriage certificate, and I went out. So that's the only thing that I really had to go get. All the other stuff we had here, I might have made like extra copies of birth certificates and passports, but it wasn't things that I had to go apply for or go get. Everything was just like accessible from here. Then the 8th thing, this is the most important thing, supporting evidence. So what I had was bank statements, health insurance cards, photos of the wedding and the extra wedding stuff, and also the lease. This is all that I've just previously said that I attached. I made sure to make copies of every bank, like the bank statement that had my name on it, and like bank mail that we've received with both of our names on it. And I also made copies of every card, like the actual credit card, so they see that I actually have my own card. My name isn't just on the account. Yeah, I just made sure to be really like thorough. The health insurance, I literally just had the pharmacy card and the health insurance card, and I copied them on the page that it says like above our names. And that is literally all the documents I took. So all this paperwork might seem extremely overwhelming at the beginning, because it does seem like a lot. It probably feels like the most paperwork of all the applications, and it basically is, but also it's not overwhelming at all, because everything they ask for have been asked for. They're just like making sure. Like they even ask for tax returns on there, but they put unless already submitted, and that's things you've already submitted. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. They ask exactly what they need, and what they don't need too, they do ask. But yeah. Okay, I quickly had a toasted sandwich. Now I feel so much better because I was so hungry. So, day after the interview comes. My interview time was like 10:30, and we went a little bit earlier to make sure we can get parking, and just if we get lost, maybe. Not that we would have, because like I said, I've been there. But okay, so we got there at like 9:15, and we probably went into the facility at like 10:32 or something. And so you go through security, and you give your, like the notice that your appointment is that day at the front desk with your passport to show it's actually you, and then you get a number. Then you go into the next room. This is where I kind of got a shock, because there were so many couples in that room. I didn't expect there to be any people, because like for the biometrics, there was nobody else there, it's just me. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is gonna take a little bit longer than what I thought it would. But it was fine, we were not really rushed. So we sat down in that room, and they called us to one window. I went up to the window, and I did my fingerprints and my photo, and I think he also looked at my passport, and he had like a whole thing with stacks that was just for like my paperwork. I was like, wow, that's a lot of stacks just about me. But yeah, so I did that. It's basically signing you in, and I think that's where the photo from your green card is from. And then we sat again, and we waited for about an hour before we got called. But in an hour, we see all these couples going, and they're like, okay, we're calling in you first, and next will be him. And you're like, okay, so they're not going in together. That is a little bit frightening. But anyways, come our turn, they call us, and they want us to go in together. I was so thankful. So we went in together, and we had a lady interviewer, and we did the oath saying that everything you say will be true. And then she just goes through like the adjustment of status application, asks like, is this your name? Is this your husband's name? Is this your father's name? Is this your birth date? What is your husband's birth date? Like just everything that's in the application. Almost everything, I'd say. Oh, and she asked like, where did you live? Where you lived previously? Like everything that's in the application. Yeah, and then she asks she did take that notice that had everything that you had to bring on it, and she took evidence. She asked, okay, like, what evidence do you have together? Like, the marriage stuff. That was my whole number 8 thing. All my supporting evidence. The lease, the cards. She took all that and she asked, like, about the wedding, just like how it was, where it was, how many people were there. And then she asked about the honeymoon, and we went to Disney World, and she seemed to open up a little bit more, and she seemed to look happier when we started talking about Disney World, because she started like talking about her experience in Disney World. She looked a little bit like strict just doing her job before that. But so we talked a little while, just informal, not really any questions toward us, just about like how Disney World's like way too busy in June and that stuff. I think she just wanted to see how comfortable we are, like talking, sitting next to each other, being next to each other, and all that. And then she asked like all those questions that's on your application again. That's like, did you come to the United States to like overthrow the government or that stuff? And it's everything like, no, you're not here to do any of that stuff. Which is pretty easy. It is a long and tedious process because she goes through literally every single of that questions. And if you've already filled out that application, which you should have if you're watching this video, you know how many of those questions were there. So many, like 4 pages or something. And she goes through every single one of them. Then she basically just said, like, verify your address, I'm pretty sure she asked. And she was like, okay, the green card will come in the mail in like a week. And I was like, so happy. She didn't ask for anything else. And I was like, wait, do you need the marriage certificate? No, she already have a copy of it from my application. And I was like, remembering quickly, oh, I still have this sealed x-ray envelope of my vaccinations. Do you need this? And she's like, oh yes, she thought I already submitted it. So there were so many things that I felt like, it's one thing that she even forgot to ask. She was so like chill. And yeah, which is kind of a little scary because if she forgot to ask for something, it might have definitely caused me problems later on. So I'm happy I was like prepared and knew what I was supposed to give. And that vaccination, the x-ray, it's like x-rays they took of your chest and it's in a sealed envelope. And I knew that was very important that they have, so. And like after the interview, it was done and we went home and I was like, wow, that was what I've been waiting for so long. And I'm so glad that it's like done. Yeah, a week after the interview, my green card did come in the mail. I think a few days after, like the Monday or the Tuesday after the interview, my interview was the Wednesday, we got a letter saying, welcome to the United States, and like everything was approved and you're good to go. And then the Thursday, my application, my green card actually came in the mail and I have it now, so yeah. And then right after I got my green card the Thursday, on the Friday, I went immediately and got my social security number because I haven't gotten it. They didn't want to, I used to have one as an au pair, but they didn't want to re-give it to me because I didn't have work authorization anymore. So now I could get it back and I have it now. I'm not changing my name yet because everything is still my old name and I don't want to go through the trouble of getting a new getting it reprinted in, I didn't even know the processes. But I did ask the interviewer lady and she said, with your naturalization, you can, like through that application, change your name as well. And it's probably better because then you get like a whole new things. I'm all set now. That's been my process and I'm so relieved that I can finally just relax. I can relax for 2 years until I have to get the conditions off of this green card. You just do an application, get the conditions removed, and then I have to be married for 3 years from the interview date to be able to naturalize and become a full-on citizen. And that is still a while. So I'm not gonna make videos about the immigration anymore for a while unless I get like lots of questions. I might do an answering question video, but no. As of right now, we're totally done with what has to happen. it's all over. And I hope that your green card interview goes really, really well. I'm sure it will if you're prepared and just do everything they say. You really don't need a lawyer if you can read and understand things. Like, a lot of people are like, no, you like need a lawyer, but they're so expensive. And like, yes, in difficult situations, I'd say if you have a very unique situation or it's just strange, then I'd say lawyers know what to do when your situation isn't straightforward. So the last thing I just want to touch on before I say goodbye and finalize this for a few years is that the whole process from the very start of applying for my K1 visa to get to the United States the first time until I had my green card in the mail, that whole process took a year and 9-ish months, a year and 10 months, around there, almost 2 years. And then the length it took me to have my green card from the day I applied for adjustment of status after getting married, 5 to 6 months. The longest wait time was for the application for the K1 visa sponsorship to be approved, and the most difficult time of getting stuff was before the K1 visa interview. When I got the K1 visa, everything I feel like went pretty quickly. It felt a little long waiting to get the approval for the green card, but honestly, from what their wait time is right now, mine went very quick. So I can just be thankful. So I hope that your process also goes very quick. Even quicker would be amazing. And please go watch my other videos if you've decided to stick to this one and just continue watching it and you're kind of lost. Go watch those. But for now, I'm saying goodbye. And maybe I'll see you in 2 years, maybe earlier. I really hope everything goes well for you. Comment below if it went well for you, if you have struggles or any questions you have. Please comment, please like, please subscribe. That way you'll be notified when my next ones come out for the next steps in my process. Have a nice day. See you in the next video. Bye bye.